morning. This is Jay Banerjee with Chai with Molly. Welcome to our program. Canada is a land of diversity. Canada is a land of immigrants. Every year, 200,000 plus people from all over the world enter our land, and they bring with them a richness of culture, of diversity, of background and knowledge. And with us today in our studio is one such person. Sheref, welcome to our program.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Well, thank you. Please tell our viewers your name and what you do today.
My name is Sheref El-Sabawy.
Yes.
Today I'm working as a professor in George Brown College. And I do consulting, IT consulting.
Mm-hmm.
So,
how long have you been in Canada?
well, I've been in Canada 17 years.
17 years. So
Yes.
you came obviously as a landed immigrant. Did you come by yourself?
Yes.
So you came by yourself. Now, what were you doing back from Egypt, right?
Yes.
What were you doing in Egypt?
Well, I was a regional IT manager for Middle East for a petroleum English company.
Okay. And what was your first job in Canada?
First job, it was in Tim Horton, baking donuts, night shift.
Very interesting. From an IT management position to Tim Hortons to again today being a professor at George Brown, among other things. What we're really interested as a viewership, as a community watching, is to know the journey. Who is Sheref? What did it go through mentally and otherwise to survive and succeed today among us all? Tell us your journey.
I think the maybe the worst kind of moment when you first arrived and made your way through the paperwork, and end of the day, after 2-3 hours in the airport, you are out with your luggage, standing in the front of
That's
the
going right
airport.
back to day one.
Yeah,
I'm glad. This is
standing
great.
in the
I love
airport
it.
and saying, "Okay, I'm here now. What?"
Yes.
And that was it. Like the question, like now what? So at this moment, it was like kind of okay, where to go from here? Like we are already in, and start. Was the starting minute, I would say.
Where did you fly into?
Toronto.
Toronto?
Yes.
Right
Toronto
here.
Airport.
Okay.
Yes.
So tell us about the first year, the struggles that you had to go through. I'm sure we can relate to many of those.
Well, I mean, being not able to get back to your career because you don't have the Canadian experience, which was the term much bigger than now. Like it's still there now, but it's not as big as it was 17 years ago. Like Canadian experience was like the magic word. Like you go on an interview and the guy asks you what did you do for your living, and you tell him about the big projects I did, national projects I did, Middle East size projects I did, developed a system which was used worldwide, the first crude oil tracking database in the world, and.
It's pretty powerful.
Then they say, okay, put that aside. What do you have in Canadian experience? That was like an end of an interview kind of thing. So that is, pull the plug. You don't have Canadian experience, thank you very much. But, I mean, you have to be resistant and you have to seek the right starting point. I would say not as you aim to. You have to start from lower and go up. And be persistent, like I'm going to make it. And I would say maybe I did 30 to 40 interviews when I first started.
How many?
30 to 40 interviews, none of them
30, not 30. So you did between 30 and 40 interviews.
Between 30 and 40 interviews.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, obviously you've been here for 17 years now. Having said that, it took you how many years to really get off the ground, to be in a place where you say, you know what, this is where I want to be?
I would say not for any new immigrant when I speak to new immigrants,
Yes.
because as I mentioned, as a community, we have our newcomers welcome house, which we try to speak to the newcomers and give them some advice about how to get into the system, how to deal with the Canadian challenges and stuff, and how to get them very fast to a working force. When we advise them, we say, don't look behind until 5 years elapses. Like before 5 years, that's kind of an average before you look and say, okay, now I'm in the right spot. Anytime before
So
5
took
years,
5
it's
years.
achievement.
Wow. So in those 5 years, look, at the end of the 5 years, what did you have? You had a job that you wanted.
Yes.
Obviously, you came as a single person.
Me and my wife, we were like newly married.
Right. So in those 5 years, then you had your children here and began
Yes.
to integrate. So what is the importance of community behind you as you're settling in? What role did your community, who is your community, what did it represent in you becoming who you are today?
Well, it is massive impact. Like I was telling you about the bad moment where I standed in the airport not knowing where to go.
Yes.
Then somebody showed up from the community in Mississauga and said, Mr. Sheref? I said, yes. He said, like, somebody told us that you are arriving. And they brought me to Mississauga, and that's where I stayed till now. I'm in Mississauga.
And how did they find you?
Well, I actually I sent an email to, at the time it wasn't an email, it's actually a fax to the church in Mississauga, where they have a newcomers kind of welcome house, very small, tiny office with 2-3 volunteers. But at the moment where I was standing in the airport, not knowing where to go, somebody showed up and said, "Are you Sheref?" I said, "Yes." He said, like, "I'm here to show you where to go."
Isn't that great, eh?
That was like the happiest moment of my life, I would say.
Yes. So I'm glad.
Yes.
I'm glad. So obviously Canada has been good for you, and I'm sure you have made a lot of contribution into Canada as well.
Yes.
I want to know about that, your journey now that first you come.
Yes.
There's a phase of you settling in to being established. Now, once you're established as a family, your children, what is it that you have done? And I'm not here questioning you, but we want to know so others can learn, about the struggle, the victory over the struggle, and then how to contribute into this great land.
Yes, absolutely. As I said, like, first of all, the community around helped a lot to make you feel at home. So being able to go on Sunday and meet with people from the same background or same culture make you feeling better. You don't feel really disconnected of the community or disconnected of your standard way of doing life, going in life. It's a good opportunity to talk about the same interests and maybe meet people in the same process, like as a newcomers or have been ahead of you to 1 or 2 years, where they can give you a fresh advice about the situation, how to handle some of the situations or challenges. That was important. Now, that's what we ask everybody to contribute. So now the newcomers welcome house still continues since then. Since I arrived, it was there, and now it's still going. It's grown to many more volunteers, helping more people. They expanded their activities. They are doing more resumes, job bank, and everything else.
Excellent.
Helping new people arriving to find a reasonable apartment or basement or something to settle fast. That's for the newcomer. Again, the community is, as I maybe mentioned to you before we start the recording, the Coptic community or the Egyptian community is one of the most educated communities in Canada. I think the highest educated according to Stat Canada. That's because of the
screening. Is that correct?
Okay. It is because of the way they were doing the screening. So it's you have to be a professional, like a physician or a pharmacist or an engineer who have 5 years of experience minimum.
Excellent. Now, 5 years, 8 years down the road, now you have your children. So your kids were born in Canada, is that correct?
Yes, Canadian born, yes.
Okay, well, obviously, so they're born in Canada, all they know is Canada. Now, our richness lies in the cultures that we represent and keeping that together. So tell me about that. In this case, it's kind of like not reverse, but where you have your children born here, but you come from another culture. What are they doing to maintain that balance of both sides and bring out the richness?
Well, it depends on your plan.
Sure.
And you're ambitious. Like I know some of the Egyptians would like their kids not even to speak Arabic. For example, they would like to speak English all the time. Because
so your kids speak Arabic?
My kids speak Arabic fluently. They are actually, if they sit with people who are just arriving from Egypt or their grandparents when they were coming to visit from Egypt, they don't feel that there's any difference. They can't write Arabic that much. They are learning. They go every Saturday into the language schools to learn Arabic. But other than that, they are fluently speaking Arabic. They watch some Arabic movie, like Egyptian movies with us, and they follow the script and everything.
So what I hear you saying is that, it's you come to Canada. Obviously, you have to struggle for so many years, but and in your mind, that'll be my next question in a few minutes' time. How you mentally handle that, but after the first 5 years, then you settle down and you have your children, and you've also managed to have your children be the best of both worlds. It sounds that way to me as well.
I try.
You've tried, right? So what would be your advice to new Canadians mentally? How does someone handle coming from here, coming to another place in life and having to accept that? I know one thing obviously is humility. What would you advise 3 things to new Canadians who've come?
Well, I was set mind to that.
Yes.
I already visited North America. I visited US when I was a student, a university student. I visited Germany. I stayed in Germany when I was doing my master's, part of my master's in Hamburg. So I know the Western system, and I lived the Western society way.
You were comfortable.
So I was comfortable taking over any jobs. I knew that this will happen. That this normal thing. It's a transitional period, and it's gonna go. I mean, I would tell you something very interesting. Like
Please.
The house I live in now, across the street from the Tim Horton, I worked at the first time. So
You're
I
kidding.
see the Tim Horton, the place, the exact location of Tim Horton I worked at,
Oh,
across
wow.
the street from my kitchen every day. And I tell my kids, this is the place where I worked the first time when I arrived. This is the first Canadian dollar I earned in this place.
That is very interesting. My goodness, I have to shake your hand. Every day, it reminds you of your beginnings.
Yes.
Allows you to be thankful to the one above.
I'm proud. I'm proud with the journey. I think I did well, and I'm hoping that everyone comes have the set mind that and determination that I know it's difficult. I know it's going to take some time, but I will make it.
Well, thank you. A key focus of our program, as you know, is bringing out the contribution. Yes, there comes a phase when you've settled in. Then comes your children. But all of us, really, you, me, Sheref here, we want to contribute. And for all of us, there are different capacities in which we can contribute and are able to. Tell us about what you're doing as an immigrant, as one of heritage, to contribute to our land.
Well, first of all, I try to use my own experience and my journey experience to help newcomers within the community. We have been building like professional groups. So as an engineer, I met with the newcoming engineers. I advise them about giving them some advice about how to approach different directions. And there's a group for pharmacists, there's a group for doctors, and they meet every couple of weeks or every month to chit-chat about the industry from one point, helping the newcomers from the second point of view.
So immigrant, newcomers, professional. What about social? I also believe you're involved, even in our country, in the area of politics.
Yes, I'm very active with the Liberal Party of Canada. I'm active with the Mississauga Summit for creating jobs.
Employment,
yes. I'm in the Mississauga Advisory Committee for the Mayor, Hazel McKillian. I co-chaired the Multicultural Committee for Mississauga. I co-chaired...
We're honored to hear that. I'm so glad.
I co-chaired the post-secondary education. Like I was a member of post-secondary education committee.
Wow.
Now I'm currently in the steering committee for the Interfaith Bill Council.
Well, that's great. Now, well, thank you. Thank you for sharing all of this. Oh, it's wonderful. As you know, this is the weekend before Christmas.
Yes.
Maybe go there for now and see from your community, for yourself, for our viewers. This is the time, a season of joy, a season of family together, season of Christmas. What are you doing as a community to celebrate Christmas?
Well, actually, as you know, Christmas is time where people meet and greet and say Merry Christmas.
Yes.
And I myself be happy when I hear somebody telling me Merry Christmas.
Okay.
And
well, that's nice to hear.
I think.
Tell me more about that.
Like, I like the word race.
Okay.
So race is respect.
Okay.
Our diversity.
Respect.
Respect.
Yes.
Aspire.
Aspire.
Celebrate.
Celebrate.
And embrace.
Well, that's nice.
So I would say that
RACE. That's great.
Canada
Thank you.
is built on multi-diversity.
Yes.
And we enjoy it. Like,
Yes.
believe it or not, if you go in a country where any other country, visiting any other country, and you feel that everything looks like the same, one culture, you feel that there's something missing. This is not what you used for.
Yes.
And we should celebrate every opportunity we get.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm very glad to say Happy Dayala, Fitr Mubarak,
Sure.
Eid Saeed,
Yes.
Merry Christmas,
At
Happy
Best Canada.
Hanukkah.
Absolutely.
And that's where I think Canada is about. And every time you have an
Yes.
opportunity to meet with somebody from a different culture, it's a good opportunity to know a little bit about their culture. Like, ask them, what do you do in this? Like, what's specifically the appearance of this occasion in your day-to-day life? What's the significance of it?
And I know that as a family, as coming from Egypt, you have a lot to be thankful for being here.
Of course.
Because things are not that peaceful. Just for a second, we know that there are some issues going on back home. We see in the news. Just briefly, tell us a little bit for our viewers who may not know some of the concerns that you have as a community.
Well, as I mentioned, there's a trend. There was a trend in the political game of the country to kind of give an opportunity to balance the communist directions by Islamic fundamentals directions like Muslim Brotherhood and others. And that grown underground, and then eventually they assassinated that, and they got into some troubles with Mubarak. Then they got into a kind of a agreement of some sort, like, don't come to us, we don't come to you, and stuff like that. But that involved some activities. From time to time it flourished up against some church or some group of Christians, or even it starts as nothing, like a normal fight, it could turn to be a Muslim-Christian kind of fight. And that's kept growing until when Mubarak regime was gone, and that was driven by the youth and the revolutionists, irrelevant to any other aspect, like there's no Christian, no Muslims, nothing like that. It's all the Egyptians want to change and request to change and bring down the regime. Now, with this vacuum happened, now the powers which was underground came above ground, and they took over the country. And what we see now is just exactly lack of central power.
That always happens. So we hope that the influence of people like yourself from your country will ultimately bring that influence and change. We can only hope back there in your home country. So now moving back to Canada as we come for a close. This next few weeks are a wonderful time of celebration. What will you do as a family, specifically over the table, meeting, as a community of at your church, etc.? Tell us about it.
Well, to start with, like as a Coptic church, we start with doing Lenting. To prepare for the Christmas. So we Lent for 44 days.
What do you do when you say Lent? Tell us more about that.
Technically speaking, we vegetarian, dairy-free. So no chocolate. No milk. No chicken. No meat. Just like vegetarian, dairy-free. Just to, it's a kind of observation for the coming of Jesus and stuff. And then we break that Lent in the Christmas Eve with like a celebration of some sort and good food and stuff.
Of course.
But within this period of time, the church is doing like a lot of prayers, and every Saturday they do a full night of prayers, like the whole Saturday, from Saturday night from evening all the way to the morning.
You have all night prayers?
All night prayers every Saturday, where a lot of people goes, and it's a good time where people even not really very close to the church or close to the community, when they have some free time to get involved in the community and feel the celebration of Christmas. And as I mentioned, like, it's a very, very cheerful to hear the Merry Christmas and the Christmas songs when you walk in the stores.
Wonderful, of course.
You know.
Well, thank you.
It's a cheerful time.
Thank you. As you come to the last part, now tell me, when is the Christmas in the Coptic Church?
Yeah, we follow the Easter, the old calendar, which is so our Christmas is 7th of January. Okay.
So let me ask you a question. For those of our viewers who may be curious to know, are we all invited? Are we all welcome to come for the celebration?
Absolutely. And actually, it's a good opportunity because our celebration is not conflicting with the 25th celebration, so you can celebrate your Christmas as usual.
Okay.
And then join us on 6th of January night in the church, the Mississauga Church, our St. Mary Church in Mississauga.
Okay.
At that night, would honor
The
like
St. Mary's
usually.
Church in Mississauga.
Yes, and the Credit View and Eglinton.
Sure.
Usually there's around between 6,000 and 8,000 people celebrating.
Between 6 and 8,000.
Yes.
In one church.
Yes.
Oh, wow. So
This church have 3,800 families.
how many?
3,800 families.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yes.
So if we, all of our viewers, everybody here lines up at your church
Absolutely.
on
And
your
there's
Christmas,
food after,
we're all
after the
welcome.
Mass.
We're coming to eat.
There's food after the Mass, and you are welcome to be
You know,
there.
Sheref, you have been such an encouragement to me.
Thank you.
The reason is I came at the age of 17. And people tell me sometimes, Jay, you came, you were so young, you had different opportunity than me, but you embodied that you came at an older age, a mature age, from a job, you humbled yourself, you found your way, you're standing tall in this country, you're providing a way for us and others as an example in civic, in responsibility, and other areas of life. And your kids are involved. And I'm so proud to know you. You know, I thank you for being here,
Thank
for
you
your
very much.
encouragement of your journey to our viewers as new Canadians. So thank you.
Thank
And
you
may I
very
wish
much.
you the best for the season, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.